When it comes to closing, how long does it take to close on a home, and what affects the closing time frame?
This is a great question, Oleg. I run into this all the time because people just don't have an understanding of what happens when. So legally, you can't close a loan before 7 days after the buyer signs disclosures. So that's the fastest I've ever seen it happen. And that was on a file that was transferred to me by another lender where we already had an appraisal. Normally it takes, if everybody's working at warp speed, it takes about 2 weeks, start to finish, in a rush situation. The average loan closes in 25 to 30 days. The longest I've ever seen it take is, I've seen it take a year if we're talking about a build job where we're waiting on the builder and there's builder supply chain issues and it keeps getting delayed and delayed. I had one that closed recently that it was in my pipeline for 9 months. It was a build job. We were waiting on the builder, waiting on the builder, waiting on the builder. And unfortunately, the hard part with that is that, when we lock in the terms of the loan, the lock is only good for a certain period of time. And we extended this lock 3 times, and so I was out of extensions. And every time, before I ever locked the loan, I heard from the builder, this is our projected close date, and I locked it for 15 to 20 days beyond that date. And so, there's some things that are completely outside of our control, specifically with regard to new construction transactions, because we're 100% reliant on that builder to finish the house in time to close by the close date, which happens a little bit less frequently these days because of supply chain issues. But for the most part, on a standard existing construction, I don't think I've ever had one go past 60 days, and that was, just because that was their close date. We don't ever need more than 30 unless there's some extenuating circumstance with regard to the property, or let's say the buyer goes and changes jobs midway through the process, something like that. But 30 days is plenty of time to close an average transaction, and we can do it in 15. Once you go under contract, your file is submitted to a processor who does a second look over the file to make sure the loan officer didn't miss anything. And then they submit it to an underwriter. And then the underwriter is going to go through everything with a fine-tooth comb. And 98% of the time, she or he is going to come back with conditions that say, okay, we approve this loan, but here are the conditions of the approval. And at that stage, we are required to maybe jump through a couple of extra hoops. Normally what I see at that stage is obviously stuff that's related specifically to the property, like the appraisal report, the title commitment to make sure there's no liens against the property, the survey to make sure that the meets and bounds of the property, there's no easements or problems with the financing piece on the property itself. But also, let's say, for example, you submit a pay stub to us after the file goes to processing that now shows a deduction for child support that wasn't on the pay stub that you submitted to me initially. So now we're gonna have to dig that up. Or let's say that you provide a bank statement that shows a large deposit of $30,000 and you forgot to tell me that your mom and dad gave you $30,000 to buy the house and we didn't know that going in. That is how additional conditions come up that require you to jump through some hoops. Oftentimes we need the buyer to get involved in helping us to do things like verify income, because their employer might need a signed document from them to do so, or verifying some change to the credit report, like they bought a new car last month, but it's not reporting on the credit report yet, and so they have to do a conference call with the credit reporting agency to verify that data. So there's all kinds of steps that still have to happen, including signing documents and disclosures. And it's just really important that the buyer understand that from the time they submit the contract to us to the time they get their keys is still a process. And we still need them to be very involved in that process. And one of the things that I try to do to make that easier is send weekly updates. Every Friday you get an email from me that says this is the status of your loan and this is what we're waiting on, so that you're not out there in the dark. But that's, in a nutshell, what to expect during the loan process, Oleg.
That's good to know. Thank you. Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Oleg Sedletsky, your Dallas area realtor. This video is part of my conversation with local loan originator Wrayanne Williams. You can find the link to the full video in the description below.